All right. Welcome
Yeah,
back to the United States, Diamond. You've been away for quite some
I have.
time.
I have, and I'm
What
about to
countries
go
have
away
you
again.
been to? How long have you been gone for?
I was away for 17 days, and I was in Paris first, and then I went back to London, and then I went to Venice, and then I went back to London. And it was good.
You're like a bar, just setting all over the most expensive cities in Europe and having a great time, right?
Yes, it was. Europe's crazy, Doug, at the moment. It's just the place is heaving with tourism. Airports are, overwhelmed. It's a challenge, you know.
And this is strange because I already wrote it down the code, that one of the things I wanted to ask you was, with all this inflation nonsense going around and people kind of holding back on purchasing some bigger items, you seem not to be affected by this at all.
Yeah, I don't think so, Doug. I think that percentage of the market, I think I read somewhere that, Americans now more than ever are prepared to spend on travel, and especially in Europe. So, the the dollar has helped, so the strength of the US dollar, and, that there's always going to be a percentage of the market that can afford to do just about anything. We're very lucky that we deal with one end of the market that is largely insulated from, what's going on. This was a big trip for us. It was a, fairly standard trip for the client, but so we had to provide security and transportation across 3 countries. And, it was, I suppose if you stopped and thought about the cost per country, and the hotels and the flights, and it is a lot, but I think it's just, you couldn't do what we do if you had to worrying about how much a cup of coffee was in Venice, right?
No. But at the flip side, because you have 2 types of verticals in your business. One, you have executive protection, but on the other side, you have transportation, shuttles, which is more price sensitive, I would imagine. Then the other, what's happening in that vertical?
You're absolutely right. I mean, I think that's why we do both. I've always been, interested, I suppose, a supporter of, multiple revenue streams. I think that the challenge, the mistake people make sometimes is that they just stick to one. We've been very fortunate that we have, multiple revenue streams. So we move people cheaply, quickly, efficiently, from point A to point B, which is from the airport to Boulder County or back again. You've worked with us long enough. We've tried to play around with that pricing, for a while, for 5 or 6 years. It makes no difference. We've reduced the pricing. It didn't increase volume. We've raised the pricing a little bit. It didn't reduce the volume. I think we've just hit the sweet spot with that price. And I think that's a really good marketing lesson to us, is that once we found that sweet spot, we just stuck to it. And, as you know, from our email marketing efforts, the issue for them was the offer itself, in terms of getting that end of the market to respond was, the 50% off offer. Whereas if we take executive protection and we look at, the revenue that's attached to that component of our business, well, that's what we call price inelastic. That is, the price is irrelevant largely when you combine the cost of, security on a day-to-day basis, accommodation, secure transportation, private jet costs. That is a big number. And it's hard. That's hard for any of us to actually comprehend, to be honest. So,
Yeah. The only reason why I bring this up, because I'm in a different business than you are, but at the same time, I am experiencing, not negatively, but a shift in the market in terms of how people are looking to market themselves. There's a lot of people going back to work now, right? In the pandemic, there was a huge spike of people trying to have their dream jobs launched while they were home. Now it's like, this doesn't work. So they go back to the market, which is funny because it works. It just depends on what you're offering, right? But I'm seeing a lot of people like you reaching out to me to teach them, the owners of the company, boring business and oil and gas, and hardware, software industry. I actually need to teach them how to market for their company without me the shifting down from traditional marketing into using what's available to them. So interesting to see how two different industries are working in this time.
So let me ask you a question, because you must get asked this all the time because you're on LinkedIn, every 30 seconds. Well, and I still don't actually know what you even do, to be honest. I don't. I sort of.
No. The weird thing is, I know you're joking in a way, but there's actually people who still ask me, I don't even know what you do. Like I got off the sales call this morning, and the guy was like, I'm looking at the profile, I don't know what you do. I'm like, right. I'm trying to explain to you. So anyway.
No, and I kind of think I know what you do, something to do with Boom a lot. But maybe that's, to me, that's you eating a bad Mexican meal and locking yourself in the bathroom for the next 4 hours, right?
Boom!
Exactly, right? See, here's my serious question, because you and I can be serious for 30 seconds. Do you think the side hustle is dead?
Oh, side hustling. What?
I don't believe in that side hustle bullshit. If you are good at your job, no, I don't believe it at all. Okay, I don't have a side hustle. I have no time. I have a hustle. I'm 100% committed to my hustle every day.
Okay, I can see why you would say that. I think side hustle can be broken into two categories. There are people who are sick of their jobs, but they're trapped, meaning they can't leave a job to go to another job, because that's even worse. The prospect of doing that is even worse. They have a mortgage, they have children, they have a marriage, or they're going through a divorce, or what? So they're stuck in their own prison. So they're looking for a way to be a coach. Then you have people who are absolutely shitty employees who want to make double the money on somebody else's clock. So it's really two different segments of the market.
But there's a lot of snake oil charmers on LinkedIn that are pushing people to, quick, build a side hustle. Well, why not teach people?
I don't encourage people to build a side hustle. I encourage people thinking about building a stream of revenue, not a side hustle. See, side hustle implies being an amateur or something. But seriously thinking about, okay, let me open up another stream of revenue. Once you say that, it could be anything. It could be real estate investing. It could be investing in your company or companies like yours for a small percentage. I don't know what it is. It doesn't have to be a side hustle. The American dream, at minimum, costs you $250,000 a year. I don't care what anybody says. You need $250K minimum to have a modicum of the American dream, which means safe neighborhood. At least 6 months of mortgage stashed away, room to take a vacation, put your kids on travel team, take your wife out to dinner, go on a vacation, all of that, $250,000 a year. You're at minimum. Anybody say, oh, well, we do better with 100. No, you don't. You just lied to yourself. 250 is the comfort zone. So not many people can make that kind of money with their job alone. I'm serious, man.
No, I believe you.
Tell me, seriously, how much money do you need to have to live comfortably in America?
No, I think
what's the family?
Well, I've been through a divorce, so I know how much that costs. And I have 2 kids that treat me like an ATM machine, so I know what that costs. I'm probably not the right person to ask because I am self-employed, and people that are self-employed are.
You're very ambitious, by the way. Like I could tell you to say, "Hey, Simon, take a couple days off, relax." You cannot relax.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
you can. I've never seen you relax. You always up to something.
You sound like my mother. I think I told you this the other day. I think our businesses, had a profound change, probably, 3 months ago, and I hired people that I thought we didn't need. One afternoon, Doug, we sat there and I said, okay, we're going to increase all the salaries by, there was 4 people that got a salary increase that went from 50% or more. Some got 80%, right?
I should have applied for a job with you.
You probably should have, because that was like, it was the weirdest afternoon. And I thought, shit, what have I done? And I don't think we've looked back since then. There comes this time, I think, for every person that's self-employed that runs small businesses to say, really, the only way to grow is to let go. And I think that's what I did. And I said, I've been doing this for 6-7 years. We've had we've been lucky, but really to go to the next level, I had to hire people and get out of the way. And that's what I did. So we hired Nadia back, as you know, and she's essentially running the company. And then we hired a VP of finance. We've got, the HR director, and we've got a VP of technology. And for our little company, that salary bill combined is huge, way more than our competitors would pay and our industry would pay. But you know what? They all deserve it. Absolutely. In fact, I'd like to give them more. And the budget for next year, for 2023, includes another round of increases. But I'd said the business has literally transformed itself. Yeah, a bit of good luck, a bit of good timing. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just saying that's. But I'm absolutely convinced that the only way to grow is for you to let go. And I don't care if that's Doug Lawson sitting there, because the hardest thing I think you have is, how do you scale Doug Lawson? Because there's only bald, deaf, ugly, middle-aged men don't grow on trees, right? So we can't, there's not like 10 of you sitting in Chicago, right? Did someone really say to you the other day, why does your voice sound funny?
Yes.
Someone said that.
I have another mean quote from 2 hours ago. He said, why do you sound like a mosquito? I'm like, dude, I'm about to, bash you upside the head. But I got another mean YouTube quote. Why do you sound like a mosquito?
Why don't you just say,
avatar make you look like a donkey? So what's your point?
Why don't you just say I'm deaf and then put your Venmo and say Venmo me money? Like you get the violin out. Come on.
No, but that post, by the way, the one that you're referring to that I took a screenshot of, I wasn't doing that to play my violin. I was just doing that because so many people are scared to get online and put their face on a camera and talk. I've heard all these excuses. I'm too fat. I'm too old. I don't have my makeup on. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, you're gonna get a small fraction of people who are gonna say hateful things. You got the rest of the people who would love to hear from you, in my opinion.
No, I know. I just thought that was the funniest thing, because you and I have been doing this for a long time now, and I don't think none of us ever think of it. And I know our whole team have interacted with you, and no one even, I don't think even anybody makes any. There's just no issue.
I know it doesn't really matter, because if you can understand it, despite whatever it sounds like, then what's the problem? Right? There's no problem.
Come on. It's just.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you another question, because you're reasonably intelligent, for most of the time, right? Reasonably.
Yeah.
So.
I don't have it, Chen.
Yeah. For a
Go
deaf
ahead.
guy,
What was your question?
For a deaf guy, you're intelligent, right? And you can throw the Asian quote back at me. For an Asian guy, you're pretty smart. But okay, so we meet like pre-pandemic, okay, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, no, almost three.
Almost three. Okay, good. So in that time, what's critically changed on LinkedIn?
Well, if you really think about it, what's critically changed is that the people who were very successful on LinkedIn during the pandemic all have left. They kind of gone their own way. The Shea Robottom, the Ravis, those types of people have kind of moved beyond LinkedIn into public speaking roles, into positions within big companies, so they kind of outgrow. So what's left is those of us who've been here all along, but it's becoming more and more of a social media platform than ever before. Before it was more of a networking platform with some interesting content. Now it's just saturated with all types of content, and it's very loud on LinkedIn, and it's very hard to stand out doing just the normal. Oh, here's what I know about business ABC. You can't do that anymore. That's gone. You now have to perform a little bit or do some performative type of posting to get attention. So people are fighting for attention a lot more. That's the biggest change that's happening. I feel it's a lot more saturated, crowded, and we're all talking over each other a little bit, and it's attracting younger types of people who bring their own idea to the platform, and you can see the tension between the two parties.
I mean, I agree with you, because I look at, we look at our feed, and you look at all of the stories, the posts that are getting, a lot of likes, a lot of comments, but it doesn't convert, Doug. Now you might say,
on the one hand, it's hard for any, especially you and me, to say, oh, that's not converted just from looking at it. Yes, theoretically, I would say only 40% of the people on LinkedIn who are creating content consistently are making any sort of income off of that. 60% of them are broke, or they're not making any money from LinkedIn, I guarantee it. But it's hard to say who is and who's not.
Well, no, that's true. And look, I mean, I've always been consistent with this. I mean, I like LinkedIn because of the personal side of it, but I've never depended on LinkedIn to sell anything. My view of LinkedIn is skewed to some extent because I don't depend on it to generate revenue, nor do I even depend on it to validate what we do. In fact, 98% of the stuff that we do, I can't talk about. And so, I'd love to talk about it.
Google Ads and email marketing and
right,
Facebook.
Right, but even the say the security stuff or that stuff, like even this trip that we did to Europe, the content that came out of there was literally amazing, and the stories we have just on that 18-day trip. But I can't post about it. It's something that we can talk about over a beer or a glass of wine or whatever you kooky people drink in Chicago. But that's frustrating. And I think I go back to, we look at our circle of friends on LinkedIn that are doing really well, but are they doing really well from a metrics perspective, or are they doing really well from a, they've got coaching business, consulting business, are they doing well from a conversion perspective? Most of the stories I'm getting back from everybody is that, I still could do with more business, but they're just pounding away, to try and get repetition and consistency. And whereas you look at, say, I hate using the word, but you'll laugh, you look at all the influencers on TikTok and even on YouTube. Once you get traction on those two platforms, you will make money, right? No guarantee.
The platforms will pay you money.
Right. Whereas LinkedIn doesn't. And I think that I bet you they're having internal conversation to say, how do we actually monetize this for the poster? Because if you decided, I'm gonna really try and make an impact, when I said, let's say if I really wanted to try and make a name for ourselves in transportation or in concierge or in security, I'm probably not going to look to LinkedIn. I'm going to look at TikTok or YouTube and become hugely successful.
I'm 100% honest. A year ago, I said to myself, if there's a way to get off LinkedIn and get paid for the volume of work I do just on posting and creating content alone, and if my YouTube channel takes off, I'm going to deprioritize LinkedIn and reprioritize YouTube and move on, just like I did from Twitter to LinkedIn, now LinkedIn to YouTube. So I
agree.
putting the work into YouTube to make sure I can make a living off of what I actually do on the platform, besides the leads and sales I get from the content itself. So yeah, I will be leaving LinkedIn, hopefully, if I do everything right, within 2 years.
Yeah, I think it'd be quicker than that.
My email list has grown substantially. I've gotten quite a lot of business off my email list. My YouTube has already gotten me 1 or 2 leads, not amazing, but it's starting to work. And so if I can get these two variables to work, LinkedIn will be a place where I just post and check in on with people, but it will not be where I focus. Yeah, let's go back to what you said. A lot of people are telling you we're still beating the pavement, we're still grinding our gears. It would be nice to have more business. This is what I say to them. Maybe what you're offering sucks.
Yeah, it's true.
Period.
Yep.
At the end of the day, the offer never lies. Never.
Right.
What your product and service, the market will tell you if they want it. So if you're grinding the pavement and you're rattling the cage day after day after day, and nobody's buying, it's because your offer sucks, or your product is not what the market is looking for, or on a rare occasion, it's because your message is not communicated what your true offer is and what the value of your product is. But if you've been doing this for 2, 3 years consistently, it's still a struggle. It is your business that sucks. It's the offer and the service you're providing. It's not what the market wants.
I agree. I mean, I think that, just another consultant.
Instead of people teaching about freedom and mindset and living free, maybe they should focus on corporate and repackaging that for the corporate world, because number one, corporate has a lot of unhappy people in corporate, and they know that. Number two, they have the budget to pay for it. And number three, they're on LinkedIn. So instead of preaching freedom and holistic remedies to unlock your greatness, repackage what you have and offer that to corporate or companies to actually have a budget to do that. Because if you haven't gotten a lead, or not, you haven't gotten consistent upward trending business over the years, that means you're offering it to the wrong people at the very least.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it's, the space is flooded with consultant after consultant, and they all look the same, And
there's amounts of consultants.
And I think that the consultants are pricing themselves as if they were the audience and that's what they're comfortable with. If we priced ourselves to what we thought and not what the client thought, I'm sorry, but it said, we just did this 18 days in Europe, okay? And we provided everything from, the security to the transportation to concierge. So that is everything. I said without, and I'm trying not to sound arrogant, but if we'd sent that bill to the standard person, they literally would collapse.
Yeah, they will puke in their mouth a little bit.
Right.
And those people that you're servicing, by the way, run these corporations. By the way, I don't have no idea who Chinese clients are, but I'm assuming that they run industry.
Yeah, very large ones. Extremely large.
So why not target your stuff toward the companies that they built that have the money to do that, rather than the standard individual person who $500 is a lot of money to invest in one call. To them, one call for $500, you're out of your rocket.
Right. But they say, but Doug, that's what, that's my passion. And, I want to make a positive change and all this pish.
Does not pay. I'm sorry. Passion does not pay. Pragmatism, utility, pay. Now you can inject your flavor to what it actually was, but to create a whole new standard because you're passionate about it. Passion. People don't share your passion.
No, they didn't give a shit about that, right? They just want to know how you can make their life easier. You know, that if someone said, Simon, what's the billionaire's mindset? Because we deal with billionaires constantly, and that's, you know,
How do I save time? How do I leverage what I already have? Right. How can I comfort? How can I get from A to B in the quickest amount of time? They're thinking in terms of time and elaborate. They're thinking the compound effect. They're thinking, right. How can I compound it? They're not thinking, oh, this would be nice.
No, and it's like, don't
maybe
get
from
intimidated.
A luxury standpoint.
Well, yeah, but it's like saying, don't get intimidated by how much money a person has. We come into the world with nothing, and we're all going to leave with it with nothing. So
we're going to leave with absolutely nothing.
Right, but here's the secret, I think, to these people, is that if you can figure out how to make their lives easier, and that's it, easier, cost is irrelevant to these people. And that's why I think we deal with that end of the market, because we know how to make their lives easier. Now, as I said, here's the bill for 3 weeks of making your life easier. Okay. That's a big number. Okay. For the average person, for them, it's nothing.
I think people will be shocked that some of my best clients keep me around because they don't want to figure it out. They want to solve the problem on that call and produce a whole month's worth of content on that call. That makes their life easier, and they pay really nice. Thanks, everybody. They pay really nice salaries. They pay me like a salary almost. Like I get the same bill, because what you just said, it makes your life easier. They don't want to hear the theory. They don't want to hear how passionate you are about this. That's just what. How can I get there faster?
I completely agree. Hey, is that little statue behind you? Is that like you? You know, was that like you?
Which one? This one.
Yeah, that one there. Is that you? Does that your kids give you that and say, "Hey, Dad, that's, you know, you look like that"?
No, I found this at a thrift shop. I was like, dude, this is me. This is the show, man. 30 minutes. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
We have a lot of content in this.
All right. Take it easy.
All right, take it easy, man. Cheers.